Okay, thank you. So before we start, any questions or concerns about this module?
Where do we start?
Okay, great. So
Yeah,
then
it's a
let
lot of
me get
info.
started.
Can I
Let's
also
see.
pull up my study guide and type in my answers at the same time as recording?
Yes.
Okay, people will just see that.
Yeah.
No. Well,
Did you put it on the Google
people
Docs?
won't see your screen. People will see my screen because it's recording my screen.
Oh, okay, cool.
No worries, no worries. Okay, so this chapter was something else.
No
All right.
kidding.
So let's get started. Order of business. I have all the questions from the read and review right here. Unfortunately, it took 2 pages because it was just a lot of information. So first question, what is motor speech disorder? It is an impairment of speech production caused by defects of the neuromuscular system, the motor control system, or it could be both. It could be either or both. Does anyone have any other definition that's more simpler than this, that breaks it down easier?
That's what I have too.
Okay, cool. If you guys like see like my definition and you're like, well, my definition makes a lot better, like it makes more sense and it's simpler, go ahead and let me know. Because I like simple stuff. Sometimes the book definitions are very hard to understand and to memorize. So next one, the systems of speech production was the respiratory, the phonatory, the articulators, and how do you pronounce this one?
Resonatory.
Resonatory. Okay. So I even put in parentheses. This was not on the slideshow, but I put like what area it is. So obviously the respiratory with the lungs, you got the larynx here, you got the pharynx here, and then the oral cavities for the articulatory. But the first one, it's respiratory. It regulates the inhale and exhale cycle for passive breathing and for producing speech. The next one is it regulates the production of voice and the aspects of speech. So it's just like being able to talk and using your voice box. And then the next one is the vibrations of the airflow as it moves. So it's just your voice box like vibrating. And then the articulators, or this one's simpler. It's the oral cavity. So able to control the articulators within the oral cavities, and manipulating outgoing airflow in different ways. Next one, speech motor control. There were 3 of these. You have motor planning, motor programming, and motor execution. Motor planning, it defines and sequence articulatory goals prior to their occurrence. So basically it's just your brain trying to plan out how, what order the articulatories need to go when talking. Programming, it is responsible for establishing and preparing the flow of motor information across muscles, form speech production, and specifying the timing and force required to the movement. So basically just having your brain being able to program how the information will become across and how you will say it. And then the execution is just, it's very easy, activating relevant muscles during movements. So it's executing the movements that you need to use when you are producing speech. I feel like this will be a bit easy because it's kind of self-explanatory. It's like planning, okay, you're planning on what to say and like how to sequence the your articulatory goals, and then the programming is just like, okay, now my brain's gonna program how am I going to do it? And then execution is having to produce the speech and knowing what muscles to use during the movements when producing speech. Next one, what is motor learning? It is a way in which practice or experience leads to changes in capacity capable of movement. So just basically able to move your articulators so much and repeating the same word with the appropriate articulators for it. It's just learning how to move your articulators and how to execute. So this one, I think this was a two-parter, but I deleted it because I wanted to make more room. But I think it was, what are motor speech, just like how are they classified? And they're classified by acquired and developmental. And I forgot what, and I even deleted it too. I don't know why I did that. It was a two-part question. Okay. So how are they classified? Etiology, know the difference between developmental and acquired. So I put acquired, most often caused by cerebrovascular accidents or strokes. So like brain tumors, TBI, traumatic brain injury, diseases and whatnot. I think the strokes, the acquired, is more for the adults than it is for children. Developmental is more found in children than adults. The development is a motor speech disorder, results in abnormal development in the nervous system or damage to the nervous system in its early development. So basically, when the baby's in the womb and it's just developing it's forming the brain in the womb, I think this is what they mean by developmental. And then the second one is manifestation. Know how motor speech disorder are divided. So they're divided by two sections: motor planning and programming. You will always see them together. And then the next one is motor execution. So motor planning and programming is caused by an inability to group sequence the relevant muscles in order to plan or program movement. And then the execution is caused by the defects of basic physiological or movement characteristics of it. But yeah.
I have a question for acquired and developmental. I have etiology written down as an answer. Is that acquired?
It would be for both.
Yeah, because it in the read and review, let me see if I can pull it up right here. It's this question that I'm answering, and it says etiology, know the difference between developmental and acquired.
Okay,
And I think,
okay.
yeah, and I think that's what it's asking.
Okay.
Yeah, think of like the acquired and the developmental as the etiology, and then the motor planning and programming and the motor execution stuff is like
The
more of
manifestation.
the pathology. Yeah.
Okay, but how they're classified is just acquired and developmental, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the etiology of it. Because the classified.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
It's split into the etiology and the manifestation, and so they want both etiology and the manifestation. So the etiology would be the acquired and developmental, and the manifestation would be the motor planning and programming disorder and the motor execution disorder.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. What are the defining characteristics of prevalent? Am I saying that word right? Prevalent. Sorry. I swear I speak English.
You're fine.
Motor speech disorders. So like basically they're asking, what is acquired apraxia of speech and characteristics? What are the causes and location of damage in the brain? And then what is childhood apraxia of speech and the common characteristics of that? So first is the AOS, which is the acquired apraxia of speech. And then the characteristics, I put mostly occurs after a neurological injury. So like a TBI, a stroke, a tumor, etc. It is the loss or the impairment of existing speech abilities. This impairment affects part of the brain that involves speaking. If they're asking for like exactly where in the brain it's at, I don't know where it's at. Does anyone know exactly in the brain? No.
Isn't it in the left hemisphere of the prefrontal cortex? Or is that the other one?
That I don't know. Because
Yeah,
it didn't
because-
say anything.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I mean, it's in the brain and it's part of the brain.
If you look in the textbook, it has different parts like that. The left hemisphere of the prefrontal cortex, basal ganglia, Broca's area, all of those kind of things. Just in short, a lot of that stuff has to do with like speech production kind of stuff and
Okay.
planning. Yeah, from being a psych major, I'm kind of familiar with that stuff. So that part was pretty easy to understand, but I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's for AOS, but just check to see if that's for AOS or CAS, because it's, I think, a little slightly different.
Okay, I will. Yeah, I'll look it up
Yeah.
and then let you guys know. I'll for sure do it. I'll even put a little reminder right here. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know where in the brain. All I know is that it affects the part of the brain that involves speaking. This can affect anyone at any age. This is mostly in adults. It can range from mild to severe. AOS is a slow rate of speech. This is a speech sound error that involves distortion and substitution errors. And oh wait, no, that's CAS that I saw. Never mind. But yeah, it involves distortion and substitution errors. All right, next one. Childhood apraxia of speech. Common characteristics. I put, it is a motor speech disorder. It is when a child has a difficult time speaking. It is hard for them to produce sounds. The child is unable to understand the language and how the word sounds, but is unable to say it due to the complex movement when speaking. So when a child starts speaking, they have difficulty moving one sound to another. Or I should say syllables, I guess. No, sounds is good too, but it also syllables as well. Yeah. So then the next question is, how would CAS affect development of speech and language? I put children's speech might sound choppy or monotone. They will have trouble learning spelling, reading, and writing. They may have trouble with their fine motor skills. Does anyone else want to add to this? This is all that I could find. I feel like there's a lot more though. Well, if anyone finds anything, let me know. So that way I could add it to this. Next one. Okay. Yeah, next one. What is oral apraxia? I put, it's a disorder where a child exhibits difficulty easily coordinating and intimidating movement of the jaw, lips, tongue, and soft palate.
And it's specifically for the non-speech kind of stuff, like smiling. Right.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
This one
I feel like it is.
okay.
Wait, which one are we going over right now? Sorry, I was checking.
Or it's oral apraxia.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this one is for anything that's non-speech related, like smiling, and I'm trying to remember what the other thing was, but anything like that,
like
basically.
frowning or like
Yeah, I think so.
being able to like just move your, I guess, lower face, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, I'll put on speech. All right, so then this is the last one. Differences between articulation disorder, phonological disorder, and childhood apraxia of speech. I just took the definition that I had in the previous modules of articulation disorder and phonological disorder. So for articulation disorder, I put the inability to articulate certain speech sounds correctly occurs at a phonetic level, sorry. And then I have phonological disorder where I put
Hold on, can you
one,
slow down real fast?
Yeah.
Occurs at a phonetic level. I left this one blank because I wasn't sure.
phonological disorder, one who has numerous phoneme errors or sound errors. One has difficulty organizing the speech sound in the brain. And this one occurs at the phonemic level. So the first one, the articulation disorder, is phonetic level, and this one is phonemic level. And then childhood apraxia of speech, CAS, is a motor speech disorder. It is when a child has a difficult time speaking. The child has a hard time moving their lips, tongue, and jaw when they are trying to speak. And it's hard for them to produce sounds. So articulation, what's up?
Sorry, I was gonna say it's gonna cut us in 10 minutes just to let you know.
Well, this is the last one. So I mean, if
Okay.
anything, yeah.
And
So the
isn't CAS, sorry, isn't CAS also phonetic, like articulation disorder?
that one I didn't see in the book, but if you did find it, then I'll add it on here.
I think so, because I think it said that in the lecture. I don't have it on hand, but I believe so.
Okay, so articulation is the inability to articulate speech sounds correctly. Phonological disorder is one has difficulty organizing the speech sound in the brain, and then CAS is just when a child has a difficult time speaking, it's hard for them to move their lips, tongue, and jaw. So one is inability to articulate certain speech. One is a hard time organizing speech sounds in the brain. And then the other one, just having a hard time moving their articulatory, oh my God, what's it called? Oh my gosh, what's the word? Articulators. Okay, there we go. So CAS, just hard time moving their articulators, like lips, tongue, and jaw. I mean, I hope they don't ask us like, oh, does this occur in the phonetic level or the phonemic?
Let's be
level?
honest, it probably will.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
That's my guess. It probably will.
But yeah. So there's my answers. Go ahead and pause it. Whoever's watching the video, go ahead and pause it whenever you want.